This is the inside of the 2021 Eldis Majestic 115. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on, just here. Beside this we have the water pump on and off. We need the water pump on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. Whenever the pump is in operation, green light will illuminate just here. Beneath that we have the main isolator for the internal lights. These can all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. And then we have awning light on and off just here. And then over this side we have condition of leisure battery and how much water is in the fresh tank. This switch here just turns off the top lighting above the cupboards. If I now just move around to here, we have the Whale control panel for the heating and hot water. You'll see at the top here we have water heater and at the bottom we have heating. So if we start with the water heater, as I begin to press you'll see a series of icons appear until it eventually ends back up at off. So if we start with the first icon, a little picture of a snowflake, this is the boiler's frost protection mode. So it will just keep a residual amount of heat in the boiler to avoid any frost damage if it's extremely cold outside and you don't necessarily want to be heating hot water. Next we have a single wavy line, and wavy lines represent mains electricity. I always round it up just to make it a little bit easier, so I class this as main supply using about 1 kilowatt. Next we have two wavy lines, so main supply using about 2 kilowatts. So those two settings just there are just dependent on the ampage of the site you're on to try and avoid tripping. If we have no main supply, we can solely run on gas with the little picture of the flame just here. And if we have both power sources available to us, we can run the boiler in dual fuel mode, so a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt and a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatts. Whenever the boiler is consuming gas, you will get a little flame just appear where my finger is just here. And if there's a problem with the boiler in any way, you will get a red exclamation mark just appear underneath where that flame has just appeared. To find out what the issue is, just hold the water heater button in and you'll get a series of red dots along the bottom just here, and then if you look in the manual or if you Google it, it will then tell you what the problem is. If it's something relatively easy that can be sorted out, once you have fixed it, to reset the control panel, just hold the water heater button in and then press the plus at the same time. If I now move down to the heating, again, series of icons until it eventually ends back up at off. So if we start with the first icon, again wavy line to main supply, but this time using about 500 watts. Two wavy lines about 1 kilowatt, and then 3 wavy lines about 2 kilowatts. So again, just dependent on the ampage of the site that you're on. We then have gas on its own, and then we have dual fuel again. So we have a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt. And again, whenever it's consuming gas, you'll get a little flame just appear here. And again, if it fails, you'll get a red exclamation mark just here. And if you hold the button in, series of red lights again to see what the problem is. If it's easy again, just hold to reset. Temperature control just here. The moon is what Whale recommends you drop it to if you need your heating on whilst you're asleep. It will maintain a temperature of about 16 degrees in the motorhome, and it will also keep the fan nice and quiet. If I now come to the bench seat just here and remove the cushions, and I now just lift up, as you can see we have some storage underneath here. We also have the back of the battery box just here. You'll see that we have the main 25 amp fuse just here off the Leisure battery. We also have underneath here the gas isolation tap for the boiler. As you can see, it's in the on position at the moment, and quite frankly it can stay like this. I always say that gas isolation taps are more for maintenance than anything else. If you do smell gas in the motorhome, go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. Also in here we have the location of the boiler. So to drain the boiler down for winterization, all we need to do is just come to this yellow lever here to drain it down. Firstly, make sure that the water pump is turned off, and then just twist it across, and it will then drop all the water out of the boiler. I always suggest that if you are fully winterizing the motorhome, that you also go around and open up all of the taps inside the motorhome as well, because it will help release any airlocks in the system and make it drain down more efficiently. When it comes to refilling the boiler, make sure that the drain tap is back in the position it is now. Fill up the fresh water tank, make sure all the taps are closed, turn on the control panel and then the water pump, and then the pump will begin to run and start filling the boiler back up again. After a few minutes, begin opening the taps. They'll cough and splutter as they force the air out. Once they're running freely on both hot and cold, reclose, and then the system will fully reprime itself. If I now move across to the other bench seat and again just remove the cushions, and again I now just lift up, you'll see that we have the gas isolation tap there just for the heating. We then just have the intake for the heating just here, and then just here we have the consumer unit. So we have the individual MCBs just here, the main RCD, and the test button just here. So if anything's not working on mains electricity, just check to see if you've tripped. Directly beneath that are the 12 volt fuses, and again they're all labelled up, so if anything's not working on 12 volt, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. And then tucked right at the very bottom is the isolator switch for the tank heaters. So both the fresh and the waste tank have heaters fitted to them. You can turn them on and off just here. If I now flick it on like so, the tank heaters haven't actually come on at the moment. Firstly, there needs to be water in the tanks, and secondly, the outside temperature needs to be below about 3 or 4 degrees for them to come on. The battery charger itself is just at the back of the consumer unit, so just make sure that you do not obstruct it to avoid it overheating. In the overhead locker just here is the television aerial. So on the wall just here is the digital amplifier for it, so on and off just here, and then control the boost just here. Do make sure that this is on before trying to tune a television in, or otherwise it just will not work. To pop the aerial up, just loosen the collar just here and then push the mast up and then twist it into the position that you require and then lock the aerial into place. Try to avoid over tightening these collars because you do run the risk of splitting the plastic. At the moment the aerial is in the horizontal position. What we can do is flip it on its side into the vertical for additional tuning if required, and the way to do that is just by turning the tail just here. Do make sure that the aerial is down for travel. Directly beneath it we have a 12-volt socket, the aerial fly lead in for the television, 2 main sockets and then 2 USB charge points as well. Across from this we have the wardrobe, and in here we have the freestanding table and the solar panel regulator. Do not need to do anything with this, it will just smart charge the battery as it's required. The water pump is just located just here. The white part beside it is just the surge dampener, so it helps to avoid a great deal of pump shudder. Hob just here. So firstly we have the electric hot plate that will work when the motorhome is connected to the main supply, and it operates just here. And then we have the 3 gas rings. So to light these, just push in, twist and push the igniter. Directly beneath that is the grill, and again to light this, just push in, twist and press the igniter. And then we have at the bottom the oven. At the bottom we have storage, but you'll also find in here gas isolation taps for both the cooker and the fridge, and then tucked at the very back there, the plug plugged in is for the electric hot plate. Beside this we have the fridge, at the moment in the off position just here. If I now turn it to the first symbol just here, little picture of a 2-pin plug, this is the fridge now running on mains electricity. After that we have a picture of a battery, and this is 12-volt maintain. This is what we have the fridge on to keep it cold whilst on the move. It will only work whilst the engine is running. And then lastly, if we have no main supply, we can run the fridge on gas. To light the fridge, come across to the temperature control, hold it in and push the igniter. What we then want is for this line here to drift out of the white into the green to let us know that it has lit. Whilst it rises, just continue to hold the temperature control in and then release, and then as long as it stays in the green, you know it's lit. If it does drop back off again, just repeat the process because sometimes it may take a couple of goes, especially when a new gas bottle is fitted, as there will be air in the system. Push down to open. Removable freezer box just at the top here. And then if I now turn it back to off again, microwave just here, and like the hot plate, will work when connected to mains electricity. Always advisable to remove all contents for travel. Then we have quick start just here, and stop. Then we have wait time defrost just here, power settings, auto cooks, etc. just here, just depending on what you've selected. Washroom here, so we have the basin, and the shower, and then the Thetford toilet. So to open to the cassette, just slide the grey lever across, blue button to flush, and then close back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left this open. Level indicator just here, so this will illuminate when the cassette needs emptying. Above my head is the Omnivent fan. To raise the roof vent, just wind, and then middle button turns the unit on, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling. Variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure all roof vents are down for travel. Just here is the PIR sensor for the alarm. Just press the button every now and then just to make sure that it's working, because it does require batteries. And then just here are the carbon monoxide alarm and the smoke alarm, and again they require batteries, so just check them every now and then as well. In this particular model of motorhome, you can either have 2 single beds or a double. For the singles, you will need the driver and passenger seats rotated round like they are at the moment, and then it's just a matter of using the lever and pulling it up to the edge. You can adjust the height on the levers just here. Just slightly lift and pull out, and then pull slightly along. I then just drop the cushion at the back there, that way you're not laying against the wall. And then as you can see, you then have a single bed, and then you can do that exactly the same with the other side, and it will still leave a good walkway in the centre. If you are going to have a double, it's just a matter of having both sections meet in the middle, and then just drop the cushions into place. There is no right or wrong configuration of all of the cushions. Some people will flip them over because they're flatter on the back, so they're not quite so bumpy. The front seats rotate round just by pulling the levers just here.